for people who considering to get into scuba diving. I hear this more and more that, if you're not claustrophobic, then scuba diving would be good for you, or good idea. How often do you meet people who actually they're claustrophobic, like they don't feel comfortable in the elevator, let's say, or like a small spaces, and then they get in a scuba gear and they actually do feel claustrophobic, or they don't, or
Yeah, it's not for everyone. I do know people who put that mask on, put the regulator in, and then go underwater. It's just too much.
mm-hmm.
Feels too closed in, and it does. It restricts your vision a little bit. You've got something stuck in your mouth. You've got water all around you, so it messes
Something
with
stuck
your
in
hearing
your
a
mouth.
bit.
Talking about food, guys.
There we go. So yeah, it's not for everyone, but by the same token, it is something that you can very easily get used to, and actually become for me. Scuba diving, free diving, it's almost a Zen experience. A charity that I work with, Force Blue, we get special forces combat divers, and we repurpose their skills when they leave the forces to be able to help in conservation and science and research projects. And they get underwater with me, and all of their scuba diving has been about going fairly shallow in the middle of the night, kicking like hell, insert onto a coastline, go and do something sneaky peeky, then jump back in the water, kick like hell to get to their extraction points, and then hop on a boat and disappear again. They never actually stop to enjoy the wildlife or actually do it. The being underwater was just a means to tactically get to an end for them.
You're talking about the military stuff.
Military stuff. So then we take them on this conservation project, this Force Blue thing, and we get underwater, and after half an hour, they've been down underwater. It's just like breathing. Do this, yeah.
Just like Jon's showing. That's exactly what happened.
And feeling like crazy, and their air's gone after half an hour, and they'll come to the surface, and like 60 minutes goes by, it's like, where's Jon? 80 minutes goes by.
Yeah.
And then, 90 minutes later, Jon pops to the surface. They're like, dude, how did you stay down for so long? It's just like, dude, zen out. It's chill. It's like the underwater environment for me is something, you put me in free diving, you put me underwater, and everything slows down. You actually get more done. What's that saying about... slow is fast and fast is slow.
Yeah.
If you slow down, do things properly and get them done effectively the first time around.
Yeah, I always rush, and then I'm like, you try to stick it, no, and then you realize you just spend a lot of time.
Yeah,
nothing's done.
So in water, it very much applies. It's like if you dial it back, you conserve energy and you actually use up less gas. You can do more. Stay down for longer and so on.
It's as a comparison, is actually one of the sports which I'm being into. Well, I've been out for a little bit because of my knee, but it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, BJJ. So when you get rolling, as soon as you start moving too fast and whatever, you gas out.
And then the other guy can get the better
and
of
it's
you.
very similar like in scuba diving. Like, well, it's actually was my struggle when I started. I'd done only about 20 dives, so, I'm not in a place to say I know much. But I know when I started, I used my oxygen way faster.
Yeah.
And then my instructor would be like, just calm down, be more mindful. Because also one of my biggest problems was buoyancy. I couldn't get into buoyancy. I was like, my ass was sinking, my head was going up, and was like, what the fuck? And then I realized that even if you just take a deeper breath, then straight away your buoyancy goes up. Yeah. So you have to find out that middle in between, just like in, out, and when it becomes normal and natural, then then it's easy. But it's difficult to compare someone who's done how many dives you've done in your 30 years. I don't even want to know.
My first, so I did my open water course, finished it, and the very next day drove with my dad up the East Coast with a very experienced research team to film phototransects on the seabed. And basically what that involved, bearing in mind, rookie, zero buoyancy experience, was holding, so it was a coral reef, so you couldn't touch the reef. You didn't want to break like corals and things, but you had to hold a frame, which was like the reference frame for the photos, neatly in place on pre-positioned points over the reef, with a grid above it where someone was holding a camera, which then took a picture of the grid from a particular distance. Otherwise, the measurements would be up. So we had one person at each corner of the frame, and just the sea conditions in South Africa are different. Like, because it's all on the continental shelf, you get waves coming in from the Indian Ocean. And when we were there was about a 4-meter surge on the bottom. So as the swell went overhead, you could feel it on the bottom at 15, 16 meters down, and the water would move 4 meters forwards and then 4 meters back. And then there was also a little bit of current up and down.
Jeez.
So me, rookie with no buoyancy, trying to hold a frame on a particular point just above the seabed, just there. Mate, the number of times that I just...
Yeah.
The whole...
How many dives you had before that?
Literally, I'd done my open water course, and I went out and did that. And I tell you what, mate, by the end of that week, my buoyancy was spot on. Like, nailed it. But, man, it was like trial by fire.
Because visually, if you look at scuba diving, it looks boring as fuck and looks as simple.
Yeah.
Oh, what a good top. Yeah, when you see a skydivers, you have like a different approach. Oh yeah, skydiving, that's different. It's so much more dangerous and all that stuff. I think, well, I've done about 100 jumps doing skydiving, and I compare scuba diving. It's like a slow motion of skydiving.
Yeah.
So when you, but like super slow motion. Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
So when you jump out of the plane, you go like what? About a minute to free fall, and you pull. There's like, it's like everything is just so slow and peaceful, and and I think as soon as you figure out your buoyancy, for someone who doesn't know what buoyancy is, can you define it, please?
So your buoyancy is how you float. So if you're positively buoyant, you're going to float up in the water, so your movement is positive. If you're negatively buoyant, you're basically denser than the water, so gravity is going to make you sink in the water column. If you're neutral, which is really what you want to achieve with being underwater, then you're just going to stay steady at the same elevation in the water all the time.
So what problem is for people, they would think, oh, I'm sinking. Oh, I need to get my buoyancy up, so you can release the oxygen in your equipment.
Yeah.
And then you release too much, and then all of a sudden you're flying up.
Yeah.
And then you need to get rid of it, and you're like, oh,
you just end up yo-yo.
Yeah, and then you just basically go up and down like a dumbass.